What's up? What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing today? Hope you are having an awesome day. We woke up breathing again, kids. Something to be said for it, right? You know what? Yeah, there we go. I adjusted my chair yesterday and just realized I hadn't quite set it back to where it needed to be. So, welcome. Hope you are having an awesome day. We are going to be hopefully checking out some of the new metas and kind of getting things under control with our loadouts, because Resurgence, Rebirth, Battle Royale, whatever you want to call it. My builds are old. And I'm feeling it. So we're going to check out some of the builds that Iceman Isaac is running. Usually when I build the stuff that he's kind of, set up and is rolling out, we see some pretty good results. So definitely want to check that out. Kind of just roll it from there. Also, I just realized something that I wanted to have up, I don't have up, so let me see if I can fix that real quick. There we go. We'll let that live right there, and I can find my streaming software again. There we go. Okay. There we go. We'll start out by getting that up in the chat there. All right. So I'm thinking, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and pull this up real quick and take a look at Iceman's builds here and see if we can find a better way to set up some of our loadouts here, because like I said, my loadouts are old and I'm definitely feeling it. But Isaac almost always has some type of banger that he's putting out on these loadouts. He's definitely putting in more reps and more time than I am. Not only in research, but just, making sure that the attachments that he's using are, in line with good solid gameplay. So this first one that he's got up here is actually the... Yeah, these are the close range. So let's go ahead and listen through some of this, and we'll be kind of skimming through. For what it's worth, I definitely want to make sure we are giving credit where credit is due. So let's get the link for Iceman in there. So we're going to come through here and see if we can make some adjustments to our loadout based on what we're seeing here. And hopefully kind of check out some of the meta as we make our way through stream.
I'm going to give you the best close-range weapons to use inside of Warzone after the Season 3 update. Now, we all know the Renetti is dominating the meta right now. It is like a must-use weapon, but in the future, it is going to get nerfed.
Yeah, that aftermarket kit is gotta be nerfed sometime soon. It is just, I mean, we're talking about sub half second.
Even faster than the already
sub half second.
So we're going to give you the Renetti loadout. We're going to give you loadouts that you will inevitably use once the Renetti is nerfed, and we'll also show you one at the end that is just so unbelievably broken that I think an even bigger problem than the Renetti in the wrong hands. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these stats, and then we will show you the builds, because this is so important, not only just for what loadouts you pick, but also what weapons you're picking up off ground loot, because you may be losing gunfights because you're still picking up a And we are going to look at the baseline. Right now, we know that the Renetti and the HRM have kind of been the long-standing meta. The
Yeah,
HRM has been meta for a long
HRM
time. It didn't catch a significant nerf in the most recent update, but the Renetti
HRM's
caught
doing
and kinda slipped through the
solid
shadows, and now all of a
still.
sudden the word is out. It kills in 490 milliseconds, which is 120 milliseconds faster. Meantime, I will give you the perfect Renetti loadout that I think. So right now, it's for some people who don't like the HRM, the Striker 9 is another great option. From there, we can also look at guns
Striker
like
9
the
is
WSP 9.
doing
WSP 9
surprisingly
kills
well.
faster than the HRM, but it's important to note one thing. The WSP 9 has an open bolt delay, which means every time we pull that trigger, there is a small... It makes it to where... Now, if you get to jump on someone, they're not going to feel the difference between the open bolt delay.
So this is huge too with the WSP 9, because it does have that open bolt delay. That first shot that comes out is going to take, you know, that like half second, you know, longer to, or quarter second or whatever it is. It's going to take that snap longer before it begins shooting. But if you engage the fight before the other person, that's essentially negated. Not to mention if you're a higher skill cap player and your ability to kind of, you know, control that recoil and land more individual shots, that essentially negates that, especially when you consider the mobility that you gain running the WSP 9. So a lot of this stuff, you know, it comes down to where you are comfortable, and that's why I've always been so hesitant to get into discussions about the meta, because it's so much of it is subjective.
But it is something to be aware of. But with the WSP 9 build we're going to be showing you later, it kind of mitigates for that. Okay, so moving forward, let's talk about some guns that aren't worth using at all. So we have the baseline, a very normal looking meta, and then we have the way heavy outlier.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Ram 9
guns, horrible now. It got nerfed,
which I love. I love the feel of it. I love so much
Ram
about the
9
Ram
used to
9,
be one
and
of my favorites as well. It used to be really
it's just
good
been
in the
hit
mid-range,
so
but now
hard.
it falls off in the mid-range, and I would much rather run something like the Striker or the HRM. There's just no reason all the other guns meet the same expectations as the Ram 9. They all have great mobility. They all have faster time to kill up close. There's no reason to run a loadout Ram 9 anymore.
Yep.
And then we have the Striker. The Striker feels very similar to the Striker 9, but it's worse in almost every way. Just so you can see,
Strikers is basically, they just threw it in the trash.
There's no reason to run the Striker 9, or there's no reason to run the Striker if you can run the Striker 9. Okay? And then finally, the WSP Swarm. It chunks up close, but at long range, I still see people running loadouts with these from a long time ago. After 6 meters, you're getting slammed. Okay? Do not run the WSP Swarm.
Yeah, Swarm's
Swarm's
dead.
Ones, and on top of this, that we can use as sniper supports that no one knows about. Okay? It is the Holger 2.6 with an aftermarket and the MCW.
That Holger 2.6 with that burnout is wild.
You can see, starting with the Holger actually...
When I was working the camo on that Holger 2.6,
up close, which is faster than the HRM, almost as fast.
Definitely
as
feel it.
And it holds pretty well line on line with that HRM, which could make it, especially with that second damage range drop off. Well, is the MCW. The MCW has the Jack Raven kit, and as you can see, it kills.
And that Jack Raven kit on the MCW is legit.
As an AR, and I'm not seeing anyone run outside of the solid, close, incredible movement speed, and more inside of.
So let's go ahead and take a look at the
that wide open circle. I used to be a fan of the slate reflector, but honestly, I feel like I have trouble seeing my targets.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the build here for lining this out, because I think we're just going to go ahead and get a build in real fast and see if we can match this up for our. It's probably going to be. Yeah, we'll replace our Ram 9 loadout for that one real quick. So we'll go ahead and... Where are we at? Am I blind here? So loading up the Renetti here. So this was the one that I was running initially. If you're gonna get your Interstellar, why not show it off, right? So this was the one I was running. He's running the M35. Why were we running this one? And why is he running the M35? Do I have it? I don't have the M35 unlocked. Is that old? Is that from Modern Warfare 2? Is that why I don't have that one? No, there it is. Okay, radar ping. Let's do some side-by-sides here. So 5 horizontal, 15 vertical. Lowers the bullet velocity, lowers the ADS. This one does not have the lowered bullet velocity. 16% on the ADS, but dadgum, that recoil control comparison. I think I'm gonna leave my Comp 905 on for right now. If we don't feel super snappy on the ADS, then we'll revisit that. I'm fine with ditching the underbarrel. I was running iron sights on this. Oh, thank you. Yes. Yeah. Appreciate that. I needed you to pull me out of my loadout so that you could update my playlist. That's what I needed. I absolutely needed you to do that for me. Thank you. Beautiful. All right, back into weapons. Thank you. Okay. So he is running assault grip. Just go ahead and drop. He is running the 50 mag, so we'll leave the 50 mag on there. Okay, that's recoil. Both of those are locked. So let's maybe consider... Okay, he's running no stock. So what if... Oh, okay, I forgot. There's not a stock that does ADS and sprint to fire on this one. So let's go ahead and... maybe do... What do we have for velocity on... Yeah, there we go. Man, is that really that? I didn't remember that hitting the velocity, the recoil that much. I didn't realize it was 5%. Okay, so let's do that. Can't affect the trigger action. I guess let's go with the Bruin Onslaught Assault Grip. That's fine. There's no negatives on it. And then... I kind of feel like going spicy and hitting it with like the Holotherm. Not gonna lie. I know it's kind of silly, but you know, in these smoke metas, that's. But then again, you do get the. Man, there's some about the Cronin Intless. I'm not a huge fan of the I'm not a huge fan of the laser always being up. I almost wish that you could kind of manipulate that laser being visible or not. And then, you know, impact one way or the other. But just for all intents and purposes, it just, I mean, 2% additional on the ADS. You get the tack, you get the, you know, just depending on the situation. And then I also like the lens. So Mwah! Wait, did I leave a grip on this? Oh no, that okay. That's the grip from. Okay, and what? It's 1077. Do we not have a better? Just a quick scan here real fast. Man, I almost wonder if the broom pivot wouldn't be better here. It's only 6% on ADS, which is sub 3, and it's 1% on the sprint to fire. Let's give this a try real quick. Give this a try real quick. In place of that onslaught grip. Just give it a try real quick. I mean, I think I may prefer that better. I think for me, I'm gonna roll. I think I'm gonna roll the grip or the underbarrel rather than the grip. I don't know. Let me think on that one more second here. Yeah, I think we're gonna run the underbarrel. We're gonna give that a try. It's not identical, but I mean, I think we're building under the same idea. We're building under the same premise. So I'm personally okay being there. And again, if you guys want to see what we're working with here, this is Iceman's video that we're working with. So there's one of our loads. Let's go ahead.
Now, an important note on this: even though it is a pistol, because we put the Ferocity Carbine kit on, we no longer can shoot this gun underwater, and we cannot shoot this gun on ladders like we would with a normal pistol. So keep that in mind as you go in to use this weapon. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is my Renetti class that I've been using to reach top 100 inside of Warzone rank.
So, and that's important. If you are using the Renetti for the purpose, you know, that everybody else is, you know, your CQC type scenarios, and you're rolling the aftermarket kit, you do have to bear in mind that it basically makes it not a pistol anymore, and not just in the realm of not just in the realm of, you know, handling and you know, reload time and, you know, quick draw, you know, perspective and stuff like that, but also it does not function as a pistol any longer. Both hands have to be on the gun, so you cannot use it when you're swimming. You cannot use it on the ladder. You know, etc., etc. It gets the same penalties that an SMG gets, essentially, when you cross that over. So if you are using the Renetti in your loadout and you're just making this switch around the same time that we are here, bear in mind that it's going to have those same penalties associated. So that's a good solid note.
It's still going to be a very steady gun, and I think once the Renetti gets nerfed, a lot of people are still going to love using the HRM.
And the HRM has been steady.
And it's been a staple for a long time for a reason. Honestly, I'm kind of over it, but it's dang good, and you might as well run it, and you might as well have the right build. So we have the Zim compensator, we have the Thorn barrel, we have the DR6 handstop, which is one of my favorite because it helps out with both sprint to fire speed and ADS speed. We then have the 50-round drum, and then the folding stock. This is pretty much the staple build for all tournament players and sweats.
So, and I mean, he's not wrong. I'd say let's go ahead and toss this in. No, different build. Let's toss this in here. Oh, it helps if you're under the right classification. Okay, so this is the last build that I had for it when I was doing camo grinds. So let's go ahead and, again, if you've got your Interstellar, you may as well use it. Yep. Hand stop. He's rolling barrel. And he's favoring barrel over optic, but Iceman does typically use he favors controller. He does mouse and keyboard and controller, to be fair, but he typically favors his iron sights on controller because there's arguably an incentive for the aim assist, rotational aim assist with the stick if you're running iron sights. So personally, I would rather have the built-in stability, and I like the optic from the Jack Glassless. So I'm personally willing to take that hit there. I don't know that I can justify the Jack BFB because of the hit to velocity at this point, though. So we're probably gonna have to look more at that Zem. Did I pass it? So it's only a 5% hit to velocity. You know what? I do wonder, though. I wonder. Let's hit the firing range real fast. See how this feels. I have not warmed up or anything today, so forgive me for looking horrible right now. Yeah, I mean, I think we might need that barrel, though. Well, he's running a thorn barrel. I was thinking he was running the velocity barrel. I think we're okay right here. I think I'm comfortable here. So we'll run that as our CQC build, and then come back. And adjust the secondary. So let's jump into... Oh, you know what? Get our next.
From there to number 3 close range weapon, we're actually going to turn this into a sniper support. Okay, as we saw from the numbers over there, the HRM actually has a pretty impressive damage out to about 30 meters. Now, this is kind of where I normally would suggest running the AMR, but as we saw, the AMR just got torched, and there's no reason to run that AMR anymore. The AMR sniper support is dead. So we're going to talk about some other sniper support. Okay, first off, we have the HRM sniper support. Okay, if you want, you can use this weapon. I always suggest.
This is the other build on the HRM.
You can see I kind of have like the old classic Grau iron sight, and it's just a very, very straight shooter. Great aim. It looks long. The gun looks long down the icon. The gun looks long in your hand, but it still is plenty mobile for you to move across the map, and the stats back it up as well. With a 219 millisecond ADS speed is very snappy for a sniper support, and then 111 milliseconds, like that is very, very snappy for a sniper support as well. This is my go-to. So we're swapping out the long barrel, which has that really clean Grau iron sight. We have the sonic suppressor because with a sniper support, we want to reach out further, and we need that bullet velocity to feel a little bit more hit scan. So once again, have the DR6 hand stop, the 50-round drum, and then we threw on the folding stock for a little bit more recoil control. If you're very confident with your recoil control, you can throw on the light stock, which will help out your ADS speed, your ADS movement speed, your movement, and your crouch movement speed. But I think the average player would prefer the folding stock. If you really want to get cracked, throw on the no stock, but I think most people are going to struggle with that, so I don't want to go ahead and recommend that. But what I do recommend is this overall build right here.
I'm good with that. In fact, let's do this. So we had this build. Let's go ahead and change this build all the way up and roll the HRM on the front end with the Renetti on the back end. I actually think that's a good place to land actually for that loadout. Modify this one. And again, sonic suppressor is going to go ahead and give us that additional bullet velocity. Not a huge hit on the recoil or the sprint to fire. This is going to give us 30% on that bullet velocity. That's huge. Rid of the optic there. And then across the board, I mean, we're doing pretty good there. I think the only major thing here is we're going to go priceless on the camo. So we get a little bit more vibrant iron sight. Again, I have not warmed up. I know I'm shooting like crap right now, but yeah, we're gonna be losing quite a bit when we get started here, but we're going more for feel. Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, I'm struggling there. I think we are probably going to make an adjustment here. Let's try dropping the drum, picking up a jack classless. Now having that smaller pack there, but I mean you do feel it in the aiming, the firing stability with that classless. So I think for me that's where I'm gonna land right now. But it definitely, that build definitely does feel good. So let's call this one HRM Renetti. Oh, sorry, y'all. So I'm running Sonic Suppressor, DR6 hand stop. We are running the long barrel, folding stock, but we're gonna go glassless on the jack glassless on the optic. It just, for all intents and purposes, for me, and how I'm playing right now, I think that's gonna be where I need to at least start. If we can get a little bit more comfortable in the session, we may swap that back over to iron sight and then get our 50 round. But I think for right now, that's a good place to start. So that's our first loadout build. We'll take a look at filling this out.
Wrapped up for the HRM as both a regular build and a sniper support. Let's get into one of my favorite weapons that I've been using. Actually broke my personal kill record with this weapon alongside the MWIII. It is the Striker. Very, very straight. Now, I typically,
Striker 9
controller, like to rock iron sight builds because I feel like you get more aim assist on iron sight builds. But even for mouse and key players, as I always suggest, if you're struggling to see the sights, throw on a very bright, vibrant camo that you can really see those iron sights, bright green, and as you can see here, or any of the solid bold camos. So easy to line up a target, even with iron sights on mouse and key. So what I've done is I've built this for not only movement speed, but also I like to have these longer barrels to help bring up that bullet velocity up to about 600. Now, if I were to run this as a sniper support, I would probably get rid of the factory stock and trade it out for something like high velocity ammo to help bring that bullet velocity up to like 750 or something. But this would be my more traditional SMG. I have the Zim compensator, I have the DR6 hand stop, and it's one of those where it looks like a large SMG, but when you look at the numbers, okay? 100 millisecond sprint to fire, 218 millisecond ADS. Like, this is a plenty snappy and plenty fast as I move across the map weapon for me to chow inside of doorways, inside of buildings. It looks larger, but it's very, very mobile and dynamic, and it's one of my favorite weapons, and statistically, it backs it up. Make sure you guys take a screenshot.
Yep. So we'll go ahead and we'll mimic this one. I actually do like this build quite a bit. I had a couple rounds the other day where we were running Striker 9, and it does feel good. It really does. So let's go ahead and kind of match him up here a little bit. Need to swap this out for our Striker 9. Just work off of this. Rebuilt. And again, if we're going to go iron sight, we're probably going to go priceless. Striker Elite Long Barrel. I think I'm going to go Sonic Suppressor, at least on a test run here, kind of see how that feels. He is running stock. Yeah, there it is, Striker Factory stock. And DR6 hand stop with 50 round drum. All right, Well, we're already looking super professional here in the firing range, kids. Yeah, that's embarrassing. 45 bullets to take down one. We'll get warmed up. Let's take a look at. I hate having to do it, but I mean, if we're gonna play that bad. Yeah, I mean, I think for right now, until we get really warmed up, I think that's where we're gonna have to be. And yes, the enemy does get an advanced UAV on you, but remember to use that to your advantage. When they get the advanced UAV on you, they can only tell what direction you're facing. They can no longer tell your elevation. Remember that you have to use that to your advantage. Take the higher ground if you can. Trick them with a lower position if you can. If you're going to use a gun that has the JAK BFB, that is your benefit. It's immediately. I remember when the JAK BFB came out and everyone was like, "Yeah, so gives you, it gives you an advanced UAV." I get that, and I understand that we don't necessarily want to give people an advanced UAV, but when we're talking about playing on maps that have levels, multiple levels in the buildings, you can use that to your advantage. Use that gun when you're going from building to building. Use that gun to help mask the level you're on, if you can. That is definitely a talking point that people don't want to bring up. They just want to go straight to criticisms. But that, I mean, the recoil control offered by that JAK BFB is just bonkers. So I'd say let's leave that one right there, and let's move on to another.
If you are taking screenshots and you enjoy my
build.
builds, make sure to drop a subscription here while you're at it so you stay tuned for all things. We have an advanced settings guide coming soon because there's some updated settings that are going to affect your in-game
As you guys can
performance, and we
see,
also
I
have some more
am
advanced guides
absolutely
coming as
subscribed to
well.
Iceman
Moving on
Isaac.
over to
You
number
should be
5,
as
this is
well.
one of the most fun guns I've used probably in the history of Warzone. Okay, it is a WSP9. Now, as we mentioned, it does have that penalty of the open bolt delay. So you might think LMGs have open bolt delays. This WSP9 has an open bolt delay. Does that mean it's going to be sluggish? No. You zoom across the map with this WSP9 in your hand. I have seen some unbelievable clips with this gun because of how fast people move. Now, I have built this out to be a little bit more of a movement demon gun. I know I said I like to make guns a little bit more for the average player, but in my opinion, if you're going to use a WSP9, use it because you like its movement speed, you like its strafe speed, you like its fast sprint to fire. Because when you look at the stats for it, man, you have a 76 millisecond sprint to fire, a 178 millisecond ADS, and the sprint speed, and especially the tactical sprint speed, 7.4 milliseconds is absurd. So we have the no stock, we have the short light barrel, with a DR6 hand stop, we throw on a 40 round mag, you can throw on a 50, but it is going to slow down your other stats, but depends on your mode. If I was playing trios or quads, I'd throw on the 50, and then the JAK glassless optic. This makes it a movement demon gun, and I have a lot of fun running this inside of pubs.
Yeah, so we will be building this one out too. I mean, anybody that's run the WSP9 in the last, I don't know, probably 2 seasons knows that it still holds up. I mean, its TTK is respectable, and its mobility is just way too good to argue with. Since we're running optic on this one, I am interstellar. Sorry, not sorry. Let's go ahead and ditch the. We are doing short light. Yep. And we're going DR6. And we're gonna go JAK glassless. And he's running his with the no stock. So let's see how that feels. And then he's running the 40 mag instead of a grip. So let's see how this feels. What are our... Oh, man. Yeah, that is a notable difference, yeah. So let's see how this one feels. Oh, that is the wrong... Glassless. There we go. Let's... Man, that first shot when you stop shooting. A little all over. Definitely not your sniper support, but your close range, man. That is your CQC. So we're gonna go ahead and rock that one there. That one was this one, yeah. Let's go WSP 9. Open that up. Place that on the back end there.
Now, real quick, I'll go ahead and show you just as a little bonus, call it a 6.5. This is my more traditional WSP build for someone who maybe doesn't like the iron sights, because I think the iron sights are a little bit clunky on the WSP 9. And then, more importantly, maybe you struggle with recoil control a little bit, okay? Here is my more traditional WSP 9 build. Having something like the NIDAR scope on there makes it a little bit easier, even if it didn't have the damage range drop off, for something more like a sniper support. But, in general, I like the previous build, but this one definitely is very, very solid if you prefer a little bit more recoil control-based build. And especially since we're losing the no-stock gives us a lot of movement speed, but it destroys our recoil control. So feel free to throw the NIDAR on there, or if you're really prone and, really want a straight shooting gun, throw on the Jack Glassless, and we all know the Jack Glassless makes this thing shoot straight as a laser. I'll go and show you what it looks like real quick. I mean, that's just too easy. Still plenty mobile. The stats back it up. Still 216 millisecond when it comes to the ADS, and 93 when it comes to the sprint to fire. You just don't have as fast movement speed for the rest of the gun. But this still is a very solid build. If you do want to try it, go ahead and make sure you're taking a screenshot.
Again, if you're focusing on your CQC with that gun, I think it's fine to kind of lose a little bit of that recoil control, even if you don't have a ton of control yourself on maintaining control of the recoil, because it's, I mean, the idea with a lot of these high mobility guns is you're trying to barrel stuff. I mean, there's no point in taking a gun that has an incredible TTK up close and a horrible TTK at range and trying to do ranged engagements with it. If you're picking this gun up in your loadout, you should have a complementary weapon for the other side of your combat. Like, that's the other side of it. Your loadout has two guns in it so that you can have a balanced play experience. And not everybody's Metaphor. I mean, like, not everybody is Isaac. Not everybody's Metaphor. Not everybody is, a professional video game player. If you are a more casual player, if you are still developing these types of skills, like, don't hammer on yourself because you don't have the type of recoil control that these guys that play literally all day have. If you need to modify some of your attachments around, like find that place to be. I'm good running the WSP 9 without the recoil control, because when I'm using a high mobility weapon, I'm typically trying to barrel stuff. So my recoil control isn't going to be nearly as much of an issue, because I'm going to be in close quarters. I'm going to be right up in it. So that's my perspective.
All right, so that was number 6.5.
But Isaac is absolutely right.
That you're probably not used to. I'm sorry, 5.5.
You can modify those things around as you need to.
As a sniper support. Now, the regular MCW sucks, but when you throw on the Jack Raven kit, you get a boost to your fire rate, and it becomes, as we saw earlier, one of the best guns for sniper support, okay? Once again, looking at that MCW, it kills faster than the HRM, and it reaches out to those medium ranges really well, and what it looks like in-game, just like this. Very fast fire rate. You can hear it. It's a smooth shooting gun as well. Very easy to shoot. I'm hardly correcting any of the recoil on mouse and key. On controller, once again, because it's iron sights, very sticky aim assist. It's a lot of fun to use. I run sniper nonstop, but I get a little bit bored of what I'm running as my sniper supports. This has been a really fun change up to play. Okay, so we have the sonic suppressor. The reason is we're trying to get that bullet velocity up, right? Because we want this gun to have a farther reach and a little bit more hit scan at those medium ranges. So I've thrown it up there, and we've almost got about 550 meters per second. We have the DR6 hand stop, because at the end of the day, we're still trying to clear out buildings with this. So we want it to be a little bit snappy, which brings us to 133 sprint to fire, very viable for an AR. A 221 ADS, also very viable for a sniper support as well. We have the rapid strike grip, which is kind of a must because it brings down our sprint to fire by 28%. We have the 40 round mag, because frankly, I think you need that if you're using this as a sniper support. And then the Jack Raven conversion kit as well. If you wanted to, you could change something up like a sonic suppressor, maybe throw on a longer barrel to get more bullet velocity. Just keep in mind that's going to affect things like your sprint to fire. And really, I can't really think of too many other ways that I'd like to build this. Me personally, I'm a big fan of the sonic suppressor, but give me a try. Let me know what you guys think. Not many people have been talking about the Jack Raven, and I think it could be a fun gun to use. Make sure you guys are taking your screenshot if you haven't already.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and build this out pretty dang close. Starting off with the sonic suppressor. Let's get our DR6 hand stop in there. Boom. Oh yeah, there we go. Got that one. He's using the Rapid Strike Grip. I forget what the stats are on that one. Yeah, that one's the. I mean that is crazy sprint to fire. That is crazy sprint to fire. And yeah, that's bringing us up to 541. And then he's running the 40 mag. Let's see how I do there, and then let's swap this over to a more vibrant. Let's see how I do here. Let's see how it feels. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely not horrible at all. Okay, it's moving there for some reason. There we go. Yeah, I mean, it's I'm definitely not in my zone here, but for all intents and purposes, that sprint to fire there. And this, you know, this again is more of a sniper support build, so I think you could probably drop a little bit of the snappy. I think we could drop this here and maybe go for a little bit better. I'd say let's check this out real quick, see how this feels. Well, that feels horrible for me because I am just all over the dadgum place. Yeah, I would love to keep that up though. Okay, so what if we roll with like a heavy support grip maybe? Hold on, which one is giving us better? Nope, that's not what I'm trying to do. 13% and 18%. So what if we drop the sonic suppressor and pick up, say, the ruin support? For me, that's noticeably better. Unicorn sparkle farts. That's also what I like to refer to it as. Definitely a part of the conversation in total. Now I'm wondering though, because on the Bruin support we do lose 10% on the ADS speed. It doesn't affect the sprint to fire. However, because I favor an optic, I mean, to me that feels better. I mean, I think I'm gonna go with an optic without a muzzle, without the underbarrel, and I think that I'm gonna run it this way. However you want to build yours is fine, but I will mention the Rapid Strike Grip is huge. The Rapid Strike Grip is huge. The Raven kit is huge. The mobility and the sprint to fire, plus it does pack 8% on the vertical recoil. It opens up tack stance. It opens up hip fire. And the damage per bullet is up across the board. And the rate of fire is also up across the board. You lose the effective damage range, you lose the bullet velocity, you bring that back up with some of our other attachments. This takes the MCW and it literally makes it like legit snappy. It makes it a CQC snappy weapon. So I definitely don't want people to lose track of that. Like, this is definitely a conversion kit that a lot of people have kind of dismissed, and I'm glad that Isaac kind of brought this back up in the meta conversation, because for me, when I was doing like camo grinds and stuff like that, like this helped to trivialize a lot of the different aspects of the challenges that you're working on. So it's cool to kind of see it coming back into the mainstream conversation.
Now, one that I don't see
That's how I'm gonna run this one.
about is this one right here. Okay, it is the Holger 2.6, but it has a special little attachment on it. This is an LMG, by the way. Keep in mind, as I'm zooming across the map right here, this is an LMG. And watch this. Yeah, the barrel's on fire, boys. It's the Jack Burnout kit. And the way this gun works, it has a very controllable recoil until it doesn't. Okay, so you see, very controllable recoil, but then it starts to go crazy as you hold it down and the barrel starts to smoke out. Okay, so as you can see here, we've built it out with the Jack Burnout kit down below here for its attachment. From there, we are doing our best to make this as snappy as possible. We have a 255 millisecond ADS, a 140 millisecond sprint to fire. We also throw on the DR6 hand stop to try to make this a little bit more mobile. We're throwing on the Laser Hawk light because we're trying to get those sprint to fire ADS down so it feels more like an SMG, and then the Jack classless to make it more mobile. Now, this gun kills exceptionally fast, okay? We saw in the numbers, it kills faster than an HRM, okay? All the way down here, 539 millisecond time to kill. But it gets difficult to control, okay? So what I would suggest is make sure your centering's on, and you will rip through your first few shots, okay? Easy downs right there. Even on fully plated players, easy knocks. But I would avoid going full throttle, holding down, you know, trying to beam someone from far away, because I mean, it's not too bad, but you can see it starts to shake around a little bit. I mean,
the longer you hold this trigger down, it just goes crazy. I don't know if everybody has this one unlocked. I got it unlocked almost immediately. And like, again, legit on the camo grind, it was huge for me.
Spectating people using a flaming barrel,
it's freaking awesome.
Running around the map, I think it'd be a lot of fun as well. And the fact that it kills that fast up close, who knows? This could be something where you're running around Vondel, running around Rebirth, and taking out SMGs with an LMG. I think that's pretty sweet. But ladies and gentlemen, make sure if you haven't already, you're taking a screenshot of your build right here.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get some of this mocked up here. And actually, let's go ahead and go to. There we go, because we can't do anything with barrel and muzzle here, so I just switched the camera over. DR6 hand stop, huge for mobility on this one. Did I skip it? Did I already pass it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh my gosh. Holy cow. Okay, so, and when we look at this right here, we are getting 13% sprint to fire. This is an LMG with a 140 millisecond sprint to fire. That's bonkers. I don't know how many of y'all are running these kinds of loadies, but an LMG with 140 is crazy. Razor Hawk, again, we're getting 19 with that laser, 2.5 on the ADS. We're actually picking up quite a bit of attack stance from these as well. But yeah, so the DR6 will kill your attack stance, so I would not rely on that. The other thing, we'd probably go with the Cronin Endless if we were actually trying to build out a attack stance build on this. But the benefit of this one is that kind of mid-range, lethality compared to a more CQC oriented gun on the front end. But this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Rate of fire 42%, 1,000 rounds per minute averaged over the magazine. It is bonkers. It does tighten up the horizontal recoil, and I don't know how this chart shows the recoil change over firing, but I can tell you I have used this gun quite a bit. The bullet velocity, it's nigh hit scan. The minimum damage range increase, it fundamentally changes the way that this gun feels. Plus, it does have an increased damage per round on the entire body with a 3% reduction to the head. not a big deal. So this gun actually does feel stellar. Speaking of, let's go ahead and make it interstellar. How about that? And we'll throw a gun screen on there for good measure, so we get yelled at while we're playing the game. So yeah, we're running Burnout Kit. We're running CT2000 Tactical Grip, Jack Glassless Optic, the Razorhawk Laser, DR6 Hand Stop. So basically the same build out that he's running. I actually do like this one quite a bit. Again, the longer you hold that trigger down, the crazier that recoil control gets. And so it just becomes impossible the longer you hold it down. But if you give it a second, wait for the barrel to cool down. Thank you, Activision. Yes. Yes, third playlist update. Third. I really appreciate you completely interrupting my loadout build to update my playlist. Again. That was... Yeah, it's this one we're working. So after that barrel heats up, the visual on the barrel is what tells us whether or not the recoil is being impacted. So when the barrel cools off again, you're good to go, having had your recoil reset. Or you can just throw a reload in there for good measure, and you're good to go. I would say if you have an option whenever you are rolling in these scenarios, start with your further target and then move to your closer and clean them up as you go. That's going to allow you to take advantage of your steadier recoil at a further engagement point and then take it up from there. But like Isaac said, this is movement with an LMG. It's crazy. You don't ever see that with an LMG.
Now, if I've missed anything, let me know down in the comments, okay? Because the close range meta is pretty open as once that Renetti gets nerfed. Now, I mentioned that there might be something better than the Renetti. Let me tell you exactly what I'm looking at, okay? We're going to take a look at the Core 45. This is your starter pistol. This is what you...
So, in order to not, like, deep dive into his theory crafting here, Core 45. The long and the short of it in this section of the video, which he takes quite a bit of time, but he also does some theory crafting, and he shows some practical trigger mechanisms. So essentially, what we're looking at here is the Core 45 has a unique feature in its unlock. So I screwed up here. Hold on one second. Okay, here, yeah. So we'll swap this one out over to the Core 45. Okay. So let me find his loadout screenshot real quick on this one so we can... One second, y'all. So when we look at the aftermarket kit for the Core 45, there is a conversion kit option that gives you a binary trigger. And what we mean by that is when you press the trigger, it shoots around. When you release the trigger, it shoots around. That's the binary trigger mechanism. So essentially what we're trying to do is take advantage of that trigger mechanism to give a gun that has incredible recoil. It's got really solid recoil control. And basically what we're doing is we're taking advantage of that with the rest of the build. So that's his build on the Core 45 with the binary trigger action. So we're going to go ahead and drop the akimbo in this build. We're going to drop that trigger, grab the conversion kit. Okay, we go for the 40 round mag. This gilded is gonna blind me, so let's hit up our interstellar real quick. Why was I running the Sky Fury? Oh, it was for the recoil. Oh, because I was running the other build. That's right. That's right. I was running the akimbo. So if we go with the Bruin Triport, which I would run on this one as well. So the ADS on this is not really that big a deal. We're talking about pistol action here. The Bruin Triport, the recoil on this one is absolutely bonkers. So we are going to snag that one right there. He's running the Slate Optic. I think for all intents and purposes, we're probably... Man, I almost wonder about that holotherm. Just that cheeky manipulation in the smoke. There's something to that. I think over that NIDAR, I think I'd probably prefer the Mark III reflector, to be honest. If I can't use the classless, I actually prefer that Mark III. So we're going to hit that Mark III up real quick. And then 40 round drum conversion kit, optic, Bruin. And then I think he's doing... Yeah, he's not doing the which laser is this? Oh, that was the Sprintifier. Man, that's sub 100 milliseconds. I don't actually think we need it. It's just so fast. You know what? Let's give this a try. Let's see how this feels. Again, if we can kind of get our hands steady here. Probably partly my posture. Like, even at that range. On the pistol. Not hardcore. Ugh, there we go. But when we come up here even, just boom, he's gone. Like, let's throw some plates on. Let's throw some plates on. Gone. And that's core 45. Binary trigger. So I know everybody is like freaking out about Renetti, but like the core 45 has always been overpowered. It's always been overpowered. You can't argue with that. So we're gonna go ahead and keep this in the build. Pair that with the Striker 9 loadout. All that core 45 bin for binary. And
dynamic precision stock, because the recoil can get a little bit gnarly as you're ripping through rounds. Okay, we have the Slate Reflector, but feel free to throw on something like the NIDAR. I'm a big fan of that as well. That's probably what I would prefer to run. We have the Bruin Triport, because I'm trying to mitigate as much recoil as I can, because with all that fire, it starts to haze up your screen quite a bit. We have the 40 round drum mag, because that's the largest mag you can get, and then the XRK IPv2 conversion kit. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a lot of fun to use, and I think will be the upcoming meta as soon as the Renetti gets nerfed.
I think he's right.
But ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed some of the fun stats that I wrote down, bringing out some crazy guns like the Holger 2.6 Fire Barrel, the MCW Sniper Support with the Jack Raven, and then, of course, opening up the eyes to the Rapid Fire Core 45, the Dually Pistol Core 45, and the very reliable Conversion Kit Core 45, make sure to drop a subscription on this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. If I'm missing something, let me know down below what I should be running.
Yeah, definitely, guys, don't sleep on Isaac's videos. He, like, legit, his loadouts are freaking stellar, and his general, like, strat conversations are also really strong. I don't necessarily put those into practice well, but he goes over a lot of the fundamentals that we kind of forget about and take for granted whenever we're rolling through things. I would like to take a look real quick at his long range meta. This was from, I don't know, not quite a week ago, I don't think. But we've got some complements that we could try to put into our loadouts here that we can check out. So let's go.
These are the best long-range weapons for you to use inside of Season 3 of Warzone. I've used these to reach top 100 inside of Rebirth ranked, even reach a 15 KD at one point. And perhaps more importantly, I put in dozens of hours testing out all these guns, both in games and in the firing range, because the stats are important. We're going to talk about those. But if you haven't gotten the reps in, you don't really know what's best. Well, trust me when I say these are insane loadouts that you're going to have a blast using both.
You got to suck
and Rebirth
and
Island.
do bad.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into
so
it.
that you can get better.
Game data. He goes through and both manually pulls all the numbers and data mines the numbers from the site, and he gets all this really valuable information so we can compare time to kill of weapons. Now, this is after the Season 3 update, so all these numbers are updated, and we'll see there are 3 very important weapons that I'm going to use as a baseline. We have the MWIII Mark 9, we have the SOA Subverter, and we have the Ram 7. As you can see, the SOA Subverter is the fastest killing weapon in the game right now. And in general, if you haven't seen these graphs before, this is time to kill on the left. So the lower it is means it is less time, which means it's killing faster. The Ram 7, as you can see, got nerfed pretty hard, and then the MWIII is kind of our mid-range. Kills plenty quick, but it's a little bit more controllable than the SOA Subverter. So before I get into the weapons you should be using, let me quickly disclaim what, some of your friends might be telling you in voice chats. They're like, dude, this is gas, I promise. It's not, okay? Don't believe the hype on some of these weapons. We're gonna go through some ARs. Don't believe the hype. People are gassing up the Lockman 556 because yes, it got buffed, but look how high it is. It is terrible. Keep in mind the red is right there, that blue line, and as you
is
can see,
not
the
it.
Lockman 556 is way
Here's
too
the video
far
we're
off
watching.
in terms of
Make
time
sure
to
that you
kill.
guys throw a sub
I'm hearing some gas
at
around the dice. It's
Iceman
just as
Isaac
bad as the Ram,
if you're
but less
pulling this up with
controllable,
me.
and I believe less damage per mag as well. It is not worth running. Same thing goes for the Holger 556 and the MTZ 556. First off, these have very little damage per mag. They're both kind of pea shooters. They're a little bit straighter to shoot. I don't think a Holger 556 is that controllable, but when we're talking about an AR, shooting long range across the map, killing someone off a head glitch at that 50 to 60 meter mark, okay, things like the MWIII are going to be significantly better, and some of the LMGs.
The MWIII and the SOA are I mean, like, in a conversation about meta, like, they are meta.
LMGs real quick as well, because I'm hearing some gas around the PKM. It is horrible at long range. Yes, you get a 100-round mag and you can spam like crazy, but when you compare it to something like the MWIII down here at the red line, it's just not worth running. Same thing goes for the Evolveer and the Eradicator. I don't know where people are coming in love with these weapons, but trust me, they are not worth it, especially when you compare.
Anyone that knows me loves that I love the PKM, the bullpup kit. The Polemiot bullpup is just, it's, I don't know, there's something super satisfying about it. But he's not wrong. Like, when you're looking at this chart here, it's, the MWIII is just bringing it.
To some of the weapons that I'm about to show you. These are the guns that you need to be rocking inside of Season 3. So once again, at the bottom, we have the SOA Subverter, which is the fastest killing weapon inside of the game. At the top, we have the Ram 7, which some people just love the weapon, so you can use that. Let's work our way down. The SVA. It doesn't kill that fast, but the build I'm about to show you legitimately has 0 recoil, and I found a way to make it even better if you've seen that build in the past. Then, look at the red line, the MWIII. These are 4 weapons that are pretty much interchangeable depending on your playstyle, and it's the Holger 26, which is the LMG, not the Holger 556, the Holger 26 LMG. We have the BP50, which I don't think gets enough love because it has great movement and legitimately like near 0 recoil.
Yeah, BP50 is still one of my very
surprise,
favorites.
Something I've gassed up a lot in the past, the RAP H, an MW2 LMG with very minimal recoil and insanely fast fire rate. Let's go ahead and get into the builds of these weapons. Now, I've been talking a lot about ARs and LMGs, but probably the most exciting long-range weapon of Warzone Season 3 is the new MWIII sniper rifle. It is some of the most fun I've had sniping since like the Kar 98 of Verdansk, or even the SPR, because you remember, the SPR,
I am not building a MWIII on these.
The same, because it has a charge barrel that when
because
you
if you've watched me do
anything, and it raises the damage, which allows it to one-shot headshot at any range.
You've watched me
absolutely. The Cat AMR can one-shot headshot across the entire map. But the Cat AMR only
stomped by this gun. I don't know if it's my inability to control it.
My guess was around 1600 meters per second.
But I've got some kind of latency introduction on that trigger release,
okay, and in order to do this,
I can't get it.
Hold your right click or hold your left mouse button. That fully charges it up. Aim down sight, and then release, and it will one-shot headshot. So here's the build. We have the photonic charge barrel. That's what allows us to get that charge up. But keep in mind, if it is not fully charged, as you can see there, you won't have the damage and velocity. But once it's fully charged, 435 to the head, 257 to the chest, which means it's going to one-shot kill people who are dropping in from the gulag and only have 2 out of 3 plates. It's so dang good. From there, we have the Razorhawk Light, which is going to give us an even faster aim down sight speed and also a faster sprint fire speed as well. We have the Super Light Stock, which is helping with all of our movement speed. We have the OP Grip, which helps out with our ADS speed as well. And then finally, the anti-material, not the explosive, the anti-material slugs, which help out with all of that damage as well. This is the build right here. If you guys are taking a screenshot, make sure you are subscribing because we have a lot of awesome builds to come.
You know what we do? We'll do this real quick. We will build out a Mores. So that later we can just slide it in. So he is Photonic Charge Barrel, yes. He is SL Razor Hawk. Yes. He is Anti-Material Rounds. Drop the dot sight. He's running super light stock. And he's running OP980. Okay. So let's hit the range real quick. So again, hold down the charge, scope up. Guess it helps to breathe. There we go. So I honestly, I do not have a huge problem with the gun. When it feels good, it feels really good. But for some reason, I cannot manage to get this gun to land a dadgum shot when I want it to. We are running 3 plates on the dummies, so if, like his example was, you know, running, you know, somebody coming out of Gulag or something like that, pull it up, bam. That's one shot headshot. He's not wrong. Any day of the week. A couple of things to bear in mind with this, though, is it does not, it doesn't have a clip. And because it doesn't have a clip, you have to think about that into your play. If you are mounted on a wall or in a barrel or a box or whatever, it is going to stand you straight up in order to rechamber. Every time. Every time you let go of that trigger, you have to drop. You have to do something because your character is going to stand straight up, directly in line of sight of anybody that has eyes on him. The other thing is, it doesn't matter what your scoping accuracy is in between for any attachments that you put on this gun, because it will drop the scope in order to rechamber after every round. So when we're doing this, the reality is you do want it to be a quick scope scenario. Even with every attachment that gives you the very best in your aiming idle sway, it still sways all over the place. So holding breath is about the only way that you can make this work. So if you're going to take advantage of what this gun has to offer, having your sprint down so that you are holding breath going into your scope and getting that shot quickly is what you need to be about. That's what you need to be about. Boom. Take advantage of it every time going in. Okay, we're good. We're sprinting. We're taking care of business. Charge up. Get ready for the shot. Take it. That's how you have to play this every single time. You have to have a more engaging setup here, because as soon as I take this shot, unmounted, right there. Boom, unmounted. Because he's rechambering, he's going to dismount every single time. So you have to take that into consideration if you are trying to use the mount instead of your sprint to fire. The other thing is, even mounted, we have passive idle sway in there. Even mounted. It's not huge, but there's a couple of quirky things about this gun where I just cannot get it to feel good for me. So what we're going to do is we built this out so that we can save this as a custom mod. We're going to call this charge. And later we can swap it in on the fly.
Now we also will have a build coming tomorrow, but I first want to shout out the sponsor for today's video, and that is Scuff. There's no better time to get a Scuff in your hands because we're back on Rebirth Island and lobbies are sweaty. And the Reputation box, and now the even Scuff haters.
Sorry, Isaac. I know you got to pay those bills.
OG Instinct, you can now buy the Iceman Ice.
So what we're going to do for you, sir, with respect, is we're going to make sure that we link your channel. Guys, make sure that you throw him a sub because he is bringing the fire every time.
We have the second build of the MWIII, which is going to be a little bit more of a conventional build that you guys are used to. It's not going to have the charge up mechanic, but it still does have a one-shot headshot. Like the
we're going to pass this one.
Crossing, where, oh shoot, I have...
Because that's the only mores that I really want to build out right now. But moving into the SOA Subverter here,
Gonna wrap it up for the snipers in today's video.
fire.
We're gonna move on to the SOA Subverter, and for this, because it's so dominant, I also have two builds. This is the last one where I'm gonna double up on the build, but it's so important that you all find a build that works for you. So the SOA Subverter is so powerful, as we've seen, but it's got a little bit of an S-curve in the recoil. So I found a build that actually mitigates a lot of that S-curve and makes it very controllable. So as you see, I have no touch on my thumbstick whatsoever, and this, because of my build, is only a little bit of pull left, right, left, and it makes it very easy to control. And, as I always suggest, find yourself a bright iron sight. Now, I'll show you a build with the sight here in a moment because some people don't like iron sight builds, but if you're an aggressive player and you're a controller player, I would encourage you to try this build first. The camo that I have on here is a raid camo from MWIII. You go in, you go to the event camo, and that's what I have. If you don't have this camo, fortunately, the Subverter Mastery camo actually comes with this little fishy camo, and you can see it's a bright neon like turquoise, and that works out pretty well. I prefer mine, but in general, anytime I do an iron sight build, I always try to make sure it's bright so I have good visibility when I'm shooting down range. Okay, here's the build. We have the Dozer long barrel, which helps out with both recoil control and bullet velocity. We have the TLR8, which is an MW2 muzzle, but it helps out by minus 27% on that horizontal shake. I typically would go with something like a Cassis brake, but there's so much horizontal in that S-curve, I pulled out the TLR8 for this one. From there, we have the Bruin Heavy Support Grip because it helps out with horizontal as well as, more importantly, firing aim stability, which is such a critical stat for controlling your recoil. I then have high velocity ammo. Why? Because by default, this gun only has 850 meters per second, which is on the low end of what I like for ARs. Yep. Especially if I brought this in a big map, I prefer high velocity, which brings it up to 1,000. The damage range doesn't really matter because at different damage ranges, the SOA doesn't change its time to kill based off of, you know, how the damage numbers work out. It actually doesn't affect it that much. So the actual important thing for this build is bullet velocity. And there we have the 50-round drum, and it turns into what I believe to be the perfect build for Rebirth, where most engagements are under 50 meters, and you have so much damage per mag where you can just smoke and melt your opponents with this amazing build that I've got right here. Hey, go ahead and make sure you guys are taking your screenshot. And if you...
So, we're going to go ahead and mimic this. I'm using the Chinese New Year skin on this one. I think it's probably the most vibrant for scoping. So, let's see if we can match his build here. He's using a TLR8, and that is bringing 27 on the recoil control for the horizontal. It does hit ADS by 14%, but with so much focus on that horizontal control, by comparison, the Jack BFB is only hitting with 20. So definitely worth looking at specifically on the horizontal. This gun has a lot of horizontal. He's rolling the long barrel. Looking at the... Yep, he's looking at the Bruin Heavy Support Grip. 10% on the recoil kick, and... what was that? Yeah, it's 8% on the horizontal, so more horizontal support there. Ammo, he's rolling high velocity. Remember that the high velocity is going to bring 20% there. Or just skip it for some reason. There we go. Thank you, sir. And then... yeah, there we go. So 50. And that's his build. Let's see how that feels for me. And these are still two-plate. These are still two-plate targets. So, realistically... I mean, that does feel really good. Okay, so that's no adjustment. That's just holding down the trigger. Our horizontal there looks freaking outstanding, to be honest. I think that sneeze gave me a little schmoove right there. But yeah, I mean... Realistically, that is a serious contender. So we're gonna throw that Subverter up with the HRM9, and that HRM9 is more of a CQC build. So we're gonna try to pair those up a little bit. We'll call this one HRM SOA.
Prefer an optic, and I totally understand that. We're going to go ahead and sacrifice that high velocity ammo, right? We needed to sacrifice one of the attachments, and I chose not to sacrifice the TLR8 and the Bruin Heavy Support because they help out so much with that horizontal. And then by throwing on the Jack Glassless, we actually get more firing aiming stability, which is going to make this gun feel even more like a beam. But as I've always mentioned, I feel like I get more aim assist with iron sight guns. So you're going to lose a little bit of that, but you're going to get a very clear sight picture. And I think, especially for mouse and key players, this is going to be the preferred build. I'm still back and forth on which one I would run because I do really like the Jack Glassless. But it is significantly more controllable with this loadout. But you do lose out on a little bit of that bullet velocity. But here,
from my original view, I forgot that he does that, he did that, and for my play style, I think we're actually going to follow similar here. We're going to drop the velocity rounds, and we are going to pick up, call me crazy here, but I think I'm actually going to go with the Ares Clear Shot. I really like the Ares Clear Shot because it's bringing 10% on the recoil control. If I can control a little bit better. I hate doing this, man, but I think we may have to actually roll Jack BFB here. Because I don't know that I have... Yep. Yeah, that's much better for me. But just like your change of your zoom or your tack stance in and out, we're able to do the same right here with the Ares, and we're bringing 10% additional recoil control. So this is going to be my SOA build. I think that's about right, to be honest. It's and actually it does make me wonder though, because we lose quite a bit here with the 50 round mag. And what is that standard? Is that 20? Yeah, it's 20 rounds. Just for all intents and purposes here, I'm curious. I'm curious what this feels like for our... Man, that feels so much better. I know it takes almost a whole clip, but for me, that feels so much better. Let's bring this up to 3 plates. Yeah, I mean, we're getting through 3 plates at full range, and I mean, it's definitely not like SMG, you know, mobility, but still taking 3 plates. And the reload is not outrageous. Ready to roll. Yeah, I think we're gonna roll Subverter this way. Let's give one more test here. One more test here. Okay, we'll roll the 50. We'll roll the 50.
is my build for the SOA Subverter with an optic. All right, moving on, let's cover some more guns. So, like I mentioned, the MWIII Sniper and the SOA are kind of like the 2 super exciting dominant weapons, but there's also some surprises that have kind of come out of the woodwork, and one of them is the Wrap H. This has always been one of my favorite weapons in the game, but now...
So I don't have... I didn't play Modern Warfare 2, so I don't have the Wrap H in my... I don't have the attachments for the Wrap H, so we're going to go ahead and skip this one. I believe he gets into the Bruin MK9 here. And I can build that one out, so...
It's back to the glory days. It kills faster than most ARs inside of the game, but it feels just as mobile as an AR without feeling like it has that LMG time to kill. I mean, I'm hardly moving my thumbstick right here, showing the recoil pattern, hands completely off the controller. I mean, boys, that's pretty easy to control. Just down and to the right. The second you press that right trigger, build that relationship with your thumb, and then no rotational aim assist doing anything. Just a little bit of a pull down and to the right, and you got it. The build here is pretty straightforward with what we've seen with a lot of the builds. We have the Horizon barrel. We also have the Spirit Fire suppressor for that increased bullet velocity. We have the Bruin heavy support grip, the 60-round mag, which is going to help us a lot when it comes to our movement stats. And then, of course, we have the Jack glassless optic as well. This is my Bruin long-range meta build.
So we're going to go ahead and pair that up. With our Holger. No, we're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that Holger, and what we're gonna do. We're going to do our Bruin MK9 here. Okay, so that's bringing us a little bit of recoil control. It's bringing us a little bit of range and velocity. It is hitting the ADS, but he's able to keep the ADS under 4.5 with this build, and the sprint to fire is 242. So let's try that there. He's going Bruin, heavy support, helping with that horizontal. The build that I was running for perspective was I was working on camos, Jack glassless, and the barrel. And he's running a 23-inch XRK. Favor of the stock. So let's see how I do M and K. Yeah, I mean it's crazy good. I hate needing the Jack BFB as much as I do. But if we throw that BFB on there, watch this tighten up. It's just, it's bonkers. And still very mobile. You know, again, for an LMG, that's stupid. And with that clip, 60 rounds, ready to roll. Reload, ready to rock. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and roll that one with... Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Oh. I forgot that they put in a conversion kit for this on the weekly. Well, we may have to unlock that one tomorrow and see how it rolls. But for all intents and purposes right now, I'm super comfortable with where that one's sitting. And then what we're going to do is...
If you guys are taking screenshots and you like the builds that I have so far, because while I may be a top 250 player and I play this game for a living, I try to make sure all of the builds are relatable and usable for the average player. So if you appreciate that, make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe, because we'll have the close range variants coming tomorrow. Okay, moving forward to some of the final weapons that we have here, we have the Holger 2.6. I much prefer this to the Holger 5.56. One, even though it's an LMG, I think it's easier to control the recoil, and two, it has more damage per mag because it has a 60-round mag as opposed to a 40-round mag. And, as I mentioned, very controllable. I mean, it just doesn't get easier than that, gentlemen. So here's the recoil pattern, aim down sight, hand off the thumbsticks. As you can see, kind of like the Bruin, just pretty much up and to the right. Very, very easy to control as you're beating people across the map. And of course, it has large damage per mag with a 60-round mag, but because I don't have to attach a magazine to it. I can apply more recoil mitigating attachments like the Ascent Lord stock, which helps out with the recoil control, the Holger Factory Barrel, which helps out with damage range and recoil control, the Spirit Fire, and the Bruin Heavy Support Grip, and of course the Jack Glassless Optic, making this one of my go-to weapons inside of Big Map Warzone. Moving forward from there, we have the BP-50, which is one of my favorite weapons to rock inside of solos and duos, and I think it'll be an amazing Rebirth Island gun because it's so mobile and it's so quick to kill, and especially for players who haven't returned to the game in a while, very, very low recoil, both visual and actual. For people that like iron sight builds, like myself, I mean, typically, like I mentioned, iron sight builds have a lot of aim assist. I mean, it's so good. And that strafing shooting speed is so fast as well compared to most other weapons in the game. Like, this isn't even a strafe build. This is a low recoil build, but you can build this to be extremely, extremely strafey. And here's the build I have to mitigate the most amount of recoil. I have the Spirit Fire Suppressor, I have the Lore Heavy Barrel, I have the Bruin Heavy Support, the 45-round mag, and then up top, we have the MWIII 40 stock, which helps out loads with the recoil control. Now, there's some other things you can do here. I have some strafe builds I've mentioned in the past, but I think for the average player trying to beam people across the map, even for mouse and key players, with a bright optic, with a bright iron sight, I think this is just as usable as the RAM, because a lot of mouse and keyboard players like the RAM, because it has such a clean sight picture and very, very, very easy to see, because there's not a lot of smoke, not a lot of haze, and most importantly, not a lot of shake. I think even mouse and key players would be fine using this without an optic.
So, when we take a look here, I'm actually going to pair that BP-50 with the Bruin MK9. So he's running the, we're running long barrel, Jack Glassless for me. He's running the 45 round mag. Let's toss that on there. MWIII 40 stock. Spirit Fire Suppressor. I don't have that one on, but man, this comb. Let's do some quick comps. So the comb is 13% on the sprint to fire and 2% on the ADS. As opposed to Spirit Fire Suppressor, which is giving us, it's actually hurting the ADS and the sprint to fire, but improving the horizontal recoil and the range and velocity. So let's give this a go, how it's built at the moment. Is kind of our mid-range setup. So that longer range is not really where we're trying to land here, but it's so, like he said, it's so strafey. It's just got that reload, taking it down, taking it down. So I like personally, I think that this right here is probably going to be where we land. Let's try it with the Spirit Fire Suppressor instead of the comb. Because the other thing about the comb is it does give you the ammo reserve if you are, if you're rolling. So we got two with three plates, and then trying to grab those headshots. This is point blank. So I mean, when you compare that with the MK9, I mean it's about the same, but your mobility is much higher. And again, your aim down sight movement much snappier. So yeah, we'll pair these. We'll pair these. MK9 BP-50. And let's go ahead and fix this. Get ourselves a smoke. Semtex. All right. So that's where we're going to go ahead and land on these loadouts, I think.
All right, moving on to our second to last, it is the SVA, but I've made some changes to make this even better. Do not rock the SVA as just a full auto build. As you can see there, it's shaking quite a bit.
Okay, so the SVA is definitely still a contender, and I don't want to discount it and write it off. I know, like, SVA's been around forever, you know, and they've done a really good job of making sure that it has maintained its relevancy, especially for newer players that are coming in, and the SVA is like really one of the first builds that you're going to build out as you're naturally leveling up and getting going. For me, I've got all of the other options, so I kind of I don't feel like I need to build one out, at least at the moment. I feel like my kits are pretty much lined up where I would like them to be. So I don't mean to,
it's still
you know, I don't mean
manageable in
to
terms of the
dog
recoil.
the SVA.
Press left on the D, change it to single fire, and now it is legitimately a 0 recoil weapon. And with something like a scuff, where I
But
have
this
decent
one
triggers,
is
basically an output,
more
it
a
makes it so
semi-auto
easy to rapid
build
fire
that
with a gun
he's
like
rolling,
this,
and you
the build I've made
can
makes it even easier.
absolutely
Okay, the
get
reason being is a lot of
an
times we run
effective
because we want to do
engagement
recoil. Well,
with
when we
that.
throw it on a
So
single fire, that doesn't matter anymore. So what we do is
if
we
you're
draw
in
high
that
rounds,
if you're
which
in
helps
that
out our
scenario,
range,
especially
and
as an
our
MK
velocity. So now
player,
we have 1100 meters per second bullet velocity,
there is
0
something to be
recoil,
said
and,
for
of course, the
switching
damage
over
is
to
we saw
your
it was in the mid-range, right in line with every other LMG
semi-auto.
IR that we've seen. At range, it's a little bit worse than the Ram 7, but you have to keep in mind, it's all about how effective you can be at range. If this gun has 0 recoil, it's probably going to be more effective than an LMG where you're maybe hitting 60, 70% of your shots at 70 meters, whereas this, you could potentially hit 100% of your shots at 70 meters because it has 0 recoil. It's a lot of fun to use. Make sure you throw it into that single fire mode and just spam away, rip people off of head glitches, and have fun with the SVA build. I threw on the 60-round mag, the Corio's Eagle Eye, the precision barrel. You can change up the sight as you see fit, but this
Yeah,
is
and
how
I mean, for what it's worth, SVA is probably always going to be around in some capacity through Modern Warfare 3.
Comparing what I thought would be better versus worse, what you shouldn't be wasting your time on. So if you appreciate that effort, comment down below. Let me know if I missed anything, and drop a like because we got a lot of videos coming in the near future. And then finally, we have the trusty old Ram 7. Now you might be thinking, Isaac, I thought you said it was nerfed to oblivion. Yeah, it was nerfed pretty hard. Inside of 40 meters, it's still incredible. And for Rebirth Island, a lot of those fights are still inside of 40 meters. In fact, in the finals of a massive tournament that happened yesterday, a lot of the pros were still using the Ram 7, even though statistically it wasn't as good. They're so comfortable with shooting it. It has such little recoil, and being an iron sight build with a super clean sight, it makes it to where it's super controllable. Now, it's so important that you build the right build with this RAM, because if you don't have the right attachments, you're going to have a lot of visual shake. With this build, and with this build only, as you see, not touching my thumbstick, there's not all that nasty smoke, haze, jerking around that you would see in your front sight, and it's because of this combination of attachments. It's very rare that we see a specific set of attachments causing 0 visual recoil, but that's what does it. It's the HVS pad, combined with the Bruin heavy support, combined with the Zim compensator, and the Cronin headwind barrel. Those combinations of 4 attachments makes this thing an absolute beam, and it's been pretty much a must-use. And while it's fallen a little bit out of the meta, it's still very viable for a lot of players to use, even in the...
So I'm gonna counter that just a little bit. I'll show you something real quick.
The instinct for Xbox, or the and rank, because it's Mr. Reliable, and with a high fire rate, it makes it very forgivable. If you miss 1 or 2 shots, you can get right...
Okay, so let's take a look at this real quick. If you grab your Ram 7. Okay, so he's running... There we go. Them compensator. Where's he at? Ronin? Yeah, Cronin headwind. No laser. Yeah. HVS 3. Bruin heavy support. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So, if we ditch the 60-round mag, and if we instead grab the Cronin Endless, and instead of the heavy Bruin support, if instead of this you grab the Angled Bastion grip. If instead of the Cronin Headwind long barrel, you grab the full stop barrel. Trying to remember here. Hold on 1 second. You could go here. I don't think we need to, but you could. Okay. And then Okay. So if we go here instead, right? So we drop 60 round mag, we make a slight barrel change, we keep same stock, and we go for the Cronin Intless on our scope, right? So instead of this being our high visibility mid-range engagement for that setup, right? So we start here. Very respectable recoil, still sitting on a 30 round mag. I'm not using this build for my long range takedown. I can still get that kill with the 30 round mag, okay? But if I use this as my tack stance, zero smoke, no smoke. We don't have any of that smoke lingering in our faces, none whatsoever. And very high mobility, to the point that we are sliding in our tack stance, maintaining tack stance, no problem. I believe the RAM-7 is the most misunderstood gun in the game. It is not, I don't believe that it is intended for your long-range engagements, for your mid-range engagements. I don't believe that's what it's for. I believe that it's intended to be your tack stance. This gun highlights the potential of the tack stance. You're able to carry those stats and mobility through. I personally believe that's where it's supposed to live. So, I would say that it's definitely worth building. It's definitely worth having around, depending on what people are running, what you're seeing in Resurgence, what you're seeing in your Battle Royale, and you need to counter whatever the meta of the day is sometimes. The tack stance for the RAM-7 is... it's my opinion that the RAM-7 and RAM-9 are tack stance guns. That's put me on record. RAM-7, RAM-9. Tack stance guns. FJX Horus, I think, is in the same dadgum category. I haven't quite figured out what our difference between the Horus and the RAM-9 is. They both feel very, very similar, except the Horus feels a little bit more snappy. It feels a little bit better in those snappy scenarios. But I haven't looked at the numbers, and I haven't done the side-by-side. We just did like 3 hours with the Horus the other night, and there's something snappy about it. It's just the best way I can describe it. But that's my perspective on the RAM-7. If you're gonna sit down and have a conversation around the RAM-7 and you're not bringing up the tack stance, I don't know what we're having the conversation about. Because the problem is with so many of these guns is we do have like crazy smoke, which is impairing your visibility, and by going tack stance with that gun, you basically mute all of that concern. But you're able to maintain your mobility, you're able to maintain your sliding, you're able to maintain any of those things that tack stance opens up for you. So that's my perspective. So anyway, I hope that this loadout build has been helpful in some kind of way. I am going to go eat some food. I'm going to end stream for a little bit. I'm going to go eat some food, come back, we'll hit it again, and we'll actually test these loadouts and see how they feel. So thanks for hanging out. We will catch up here in just a little bit. And yeah, we'll see you in just a little bit.